Have you ever stopped to think that saving a little bit of money right now could actually be the very thing that's keeping you broke? I know, it sounds completely backward, doesn't it? But today, we're going to dive into this hidden penalty of making the cheap choice and see how it can spiral into these catastrophic expenses down the road.
So let's just start with this one big question. Are your savings actually costing you a fortune? We're all taught to hunt for the lowest price, to pinch every penny we can, but what if that very instinct is a trap?
To really get our heads around this, let's meet two people, Penny and Rich. Now, Penny is completely laser-focused on the immediate price tag of, well, everything. Rich, on the other hand, he's all about the long-term value. They represent two totally different ways of thinking about money, and, trust me, their stories are going to show us everything we need to know.
All right, let's jump into our first scenario. We're calling this one the preventative maintenance gap. This is that classic situation where a small, smart expense today can literally save you from a financial disaster tomorrow.
So, both Penny and Rich are due for a routine dental cleaning. It's £150. Penny sees that $150 about to leave her bank account and thinks, nope, I'll skip it. To her, that's a clear saving, right? But Rich, he sees it completely differently. He looks at that £150 as a critical investment in his own health, something that's going to prevent much bigger problems later.
Now, let's just fast forward 2 years. That's it, just 2 years. The outcome is, well, it's dramatic. Penny's tiny, untreated issue has exploded into a massive problem. She now needs a dental implant that's going to cost £4,000. Meanwhile, Rich, his teeth are perfectly healthy, all thanks to that simple preventative care.
So, let's do the simple math here. Penny's attempt to save £150 actually ended up costing her a net loss of £3,850. Her one cheap choice compounded into a massive, massive expense. Okay, let's move on and see how this idea builds. Our next scenario is all about the tools we use for work, for productivity. I like to call this one being caught in the tool trap. Yeah, when it comes to the equipment we rely on, there's some really brutal math at play. The gut instinct is always to just buy the cheapest thing that'll get the job done. But over time, that math almost never, ever works out in your favor. Let me show you how this plays out. Penny buys a budget laptop for £300. It's slow, it's always freezing up, and after just 18 months, it completely dies. So over 5 years, she's forced to buy a new one 3 times, spending at least £900. Rich, however, shells out £1,200 for a really reliable machine that lasts him the entire 5 years. Yeah, it was way more expensive up front, but in the end, it was actually the cheaper choice.
And here's the thing. The money is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, think about all the hidden cost for Penny. We're talking countless hours of lost productivity just waiting for stuff to load. The constant stress and frustration of a tool that doesn't work. And all that time wasted transferring data and setting up a new machine over and over again. See? Value is about so much more than just money.
Okay, for our last example, let's completely reframe how we think about spending money on ourselves, on our own skills. Let's talk about the idea of planting your seed money.
The whole idea here is to stop seeing things like education or training courses as just a loss of cash. Instead, you've got to see them as planting seed money, something that's going to grow into something much, much bigger.
And you can see this mindset difference in action right here. Let's say there's a professional certification course that costs £1,000. Penny's scarcity mindset kicks in immediately. I can't afford that. She only sees the money going out. But Rich's investment mindset flips it completely. I can't afford to miss the opportunity this provides. He sees the potential return. And just look at the path this creates for Rich. He invests the £1,000, he gains valuable new skills that are actually in demand, and then he leverages those skills to get himself a £15,000 salary increase. That £1,000 cost wasn't a cost at all. It was the bargain of a lifetime.
So, now that we've followed Penny and Rich through all these decisions, what really is the true cost of cheap? Well, it's a whole lot more than the little bit of money you think you're saving.
This chart just sums it all up, doesn't it? Over 5 years, Penny's series of smart savings have led her to, well, stagnant or even negative financial growth. But Rich's strategic investments in actual value, they've compounded, leading to seriously significant positive growth.
And that brings us to the core lesson, the main takeaway from all of this. The cheap choice becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. By constantly trying to save a little bit here and there, you accidentally create the very circumstances, the broken tools, the health emergencies, the missed opportunities that ultimately keep you broke.
And so that leaves us all with one final question to really think about. Take a look at your own life. Which cheap choice are you making today that might be compounding quietly in the background into your biggest expense of tomorrow?